Look at how far. Very good. Be able to get the on live, get the address here. Yeah, let's post that. There we are. All right. First thing I want to show, let's go ahead and check our filters real quick. With the information given, I created two filters here. We got our delete filter and junk filter. In the nomenclature, we're using addresses to represent both the address itself that we want to pull or just the domain. So if we look into the filters, you'll see in here we have both with just domain selected as well as, in this case, an address with a domain selected. So we don't have to name a filter one as delete domains and another as delete addresses. We just, tie the both into addresses. And this is just to specify that we're selecting an we're selecting an address separate from, say, filtering a subject line. And when we're setting up our filter, obviously we want to go for the manual run as well so that we can target other directories. Because by default, Thunderbird is only going to target the inbox. So we allow manual run when we need it. Getting new mail, we want to filter before the junk classification. And down here periodically every 10 minutes, because if in situations when we leave Thunderbird just running, we want that filter to also have the ability to just kind of do its thing on its own. So every 10 minutes is good. Down here at the bottom, well, first thing first, before we go down there, we match to any of the following right here. If you go to all of the following, that's a different type of filter, and I can talk about that later on if you want to hear more about it. I got some examples as well. I did a show on it. I don't know when it's going to be released because I put it in a reserve queue, but if you are interested in seeing more about that, this type of filter, when you're using it, you can actually set it up to where the way I'm using it, I'm clearing my inbox of messages that are older than 7 days old. And I'll talk more about it if you want to hear it. But for now, messages match any of the following is what we want. And then we add all of the things, and make sure you're selecting from. When we're doing it, we're doing from, contains, and then we put the domain or addresses in the list here. Now, the actions that we're going to be taking, first thing I do is I tag my messages, especially if it's going to be deletion or junk. I tag it. Now, with delete, you don't have to tag, but I just like to do it as, a way to make sure that everything is uniform. This rubbish that I created here, they have others that come, by default with Thunderbird, but I created the rubbish one and gave it a gross green color so that you might not be able to see how that color looks here in the stream. I don't know how well it's going to show up, but I gave it that gross green color just to remind me that I don't want it around. Mark it as red so that way it doesn't stand out. You can see all these unread messages back here, how they're that nice bold white that stands out. Well, we mark as red because we don't want them to stand out. And then we delete them, which is separate from the junk filter. So in the delete one, these are just newsletters and other things that we don't want them classified as junk. There's a good chance some of these things didn't do anything wrong. We just no longer want to see anything from them for now. And we're definitely not about to go trying to unsubscribe. So we're going to go ahead and click OK there. That's going to be our very first filter. On our second filter, the junk one, let's go ahead and jump in there. In our junk filter, we're going to use the same setup up top up here. Manual run. before junk classification when we're getting new mail, and periodically every 10 minutes. Make sure you also have it set for match any of the following. And then we're doing from, contains, and then right now you see we're just using domains. Normally when you're marking things as junk, a good practice is to use the domain itself, because a lot of the times whenever it's a situation where the domain may not be a problem, but it's like promotional mail from that domain, a lot of times you don't want to mark that as junk. You just want to make sure that it's gone. And that's why we use the delete filter. Because again, like I said, sometimes it's innocent. It's not like they're doing something wrong. They're doing what we asked them to do. They're keeping in contact with us because we created the account, blah, 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 blah. We're just no longer interested in all that stuff filling up our inboxes. So that's why we have a delete separate from a junk. Now that we got that out of the way, we got our junk stuff here. We're tagging it as rubbish. We're marking it as red. And then we're setting the junk status to junk before moving that message into the junk folder. Now, part of the reason why you want to leave the manual run here, I have noticed with certain political campaign domains, I don't know how they're doing this. I haven't been able to find out how, but no matter how many times I tag them as junk and train Thunderbird to identify them as junk, they somehow reverse that. And then they try to go into the trash folder to avoid being marked as junk. So what I have to do is, let me just go ahead and hit OK here. What I have to do is, instead of manually going through the trash folder to find that political email and then mark it as junk and then put it in a junk folder, that's my air condition. Apologize for the loud hum. What we do here, we go ahead and click down here. We target the the trash folder. So we target trash, and then we use this filter here, the junk filter, and we run this filter against the trash folder. So that way, if any one of those political campaigns try that crap, where they try to avoid, somehow they're still managing to avoid our junk classification, because it's wild how they're doing it. Check it. We have Thunderbird set up to filter before, this filter takes effect before the junk classification. And I have combed through my other filters to ensure that those political campaigns are not in any other filter, so that it's not a user error is what I'm trying to get at. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're getting away with it, but not for long, because like I said, I still manually, because if you leave that option selected right there, you can manually aim that filter at a specific folder and just run it against that folder to apply the settings of that filter to whatever is selected in that folder. So this is just a basic example, and don't worry about this email address. I specifically made this for streaming and everything, and I fill it up with all sorts of political mumbo jumbo and just, things that I can use for examples in streaming and YouTube or whatever. So that's what we got so far. Now, what we want to also do is, I think I've already, I think I closed that, let me check real quick here. Yeah, I did close this. So let me just go ahead and get that out the way. What we want to do now is, let me show you what these filters look like here in Vim. So I went ahead and opened this up over here in Vim. What we're going to do now, let me just drop down real quick so you can see the directory here. So now that we're down here in that directory, you see we are in our message filter rules.dat. That's where all our filters are. Let me pop back in the filter real quick. This line right here, condition, is where all the filter values are. So the domains and addresses that we're pulling out. So this is the first filter that right here, that big one that has all the other stuff in it. The next filter is down here where the other conditions are, right down there. Let me just use V to highlight that. So you can see this one's only got the 2 values in it that we've selected before. I'm going to show you the filtering rules, the Thunderbird thing that I created. So we're going to just quickly open up, let's use this to open up CB real quick. Oops, it's CB. So we're going to go into there, get that out the way. All right, let's go back here real quick. We're going to use double Y here to pull that. And then there we are. So we got that first filter right there. Let me just go ahead and save real quick. Again, we yanked that first filter, brung it over here. Now let's go ahead and do a source for my Thunderbird filters real quick. We're going to source that up. Now that we have that source, we're just going to run that filter, and bada boom, bada bing. It's already done. Just that quick. We've already completed that filter. So now let's delete this line, which is going to also put it in our buffer. So when we switch back over, oh, forgot to save. All right. So when we switch back over here, we can now paste that line in. And now let's look at what changes have occurred. So the old filter is right up on top, and the new one is the one that we just edited in that other buffer is down here on the bottom. So as you can see, it put it in alphabetical order and made everything lowercase. So that's all that happened there. So we can delete the old one up top, save it. And since this one only has 2 in it, we don't need to. Plus, I think they're already in alphabet. No, they're not in alphabetical order. But I mean, while I'm here, I might as well. Not like it's going to be a long-winded process anymore. Everything's already kind of do a quick little. Now, so watch this, how quick this is. Now we're just going to do a leader 1. Boom, it's already done. Filter complete. So delete that line. Let's save real quick so it doesn't give us that message when we leave. We're going to paste that puppy right on down here. Delete the old one. Save with the new one. And now that's fixed. We can let me make sure I save it again. Drop down real quick. And now we'll need to restart Thunderbird because I stupidly edited that filter while Thunderbird was running, which is a bad idea. So totally forgot to do that. We're going to hope for the best. And well, I could have just clicked on Thunderbird right down there. I don't know why I was going to run it there, but it's fine. Let's go ahead and run that. I don't have the slightest clue where my phone is, but okay. Okay, so now let's take a look at that Thunderbird filter. And as you can see, everything's in alphabetical order, just the way we want it. Nice and neat, clean. And the filter will run just the way we need it to. So we're good. Let me just check this one out real quick. Yep, same thing. Nice and neat, clean. It'll run just the way we need it to. All right. So that's how you do it. Now, obviously, this is an example. And if you want to see that filter thing real quick, let me just do a Vim. Well, actually, first, let me just check. Let me do a JB here real quick and do foreground run, quit that because we don't need it anymore. Then we can do a vim.config vim TB filters. And now we can take a look at that. So this is the way it used to look. These 4 lines is how it used to work, but now it's just this one line up here. So it's a one-liner now. I did a show that's in the reserve queue. If you want this filter here, matter of fact, let me just go and copy that filter for you real quick. I mean, not filter, this mapping for you real quick. Go ahead and copy that for you. And then what I'll do is I'll just drop right down in here and I'll paste that puppy in there. And I'll write, let me write Vim mapping at the, oh crap. It went weird on me just now. We do not want to do that because we don't want to edit all the way up there. Let's move this down and I'll just type Vim mapping. There we are. Oops, another space. I forgot I got to do Control Enter in order to send. So there we go. That's the Vim mapping right there. If you wanted to copy that into your own Vim session and source it to be able to edit your own, as you've seen I've done there. So yep, there we are with that, and we're done. If you got any questions, let me know. That's the end.